What happened to Yes?
The British beat scene of the 1960s was deeply ingrained in the Yes members' lives. Before joining Gunn in 1967, John Anderson was a member of the Warriors, who recorded a 45 for Decca in 1964. He also released 2 solo singles on Parlophone. After Anderson and bassist Chris Squire, previously of the prog band Sin, connected, they soon started a band. The founding idea of the Young Yes was the combination of the two musicians' love of pop harmony and their preference for progressive rock. Within a short period, Anderson and Squire assembled a group of like-minded players, including guitarist Peter Banks, Bill Bruford, and keyboardist Tony Kaye. In October 1968, Yes performed in London's Speakeasy Club for the first time. They won the opening slot for Cream's final performance at the Royal Albert Hall the following month, a coveted gig that led to a tenure at the Marquee Club and an appearance on John Peel's Top Gear radio show in 1969. The group published their first single, Sweetness, and in November of '69, they made their full-length debut with the same name. These early recordings show Yes performing in a pop style with psychedelic undertones, but pop success wasn't forthcoming, at least not at this point. Banks left the group during the recording of their second album, and Steve Howe, a former member of Tomorrow, took his place. Howe produced the iconic British psych single, My White Bicycle. Time and a Word from 1970 may have Howe on the cover, but Banks was the star of the song. Howe didn't record his first song with the group until the Yes album, a 1971 album that marked the band's peak. In addition to Starship Trooper, the album rock standard All Good People and Your Move, which debuted in the Billboard Top 40, Yes launched several of their characteristic songs on the Yes album, as they broadened their horizons by experimenting with folk, space rock, and pop. Yes began working on a fourth album after the Yes album did well on both sides of the Atlantic. When keyboardist Kaye left the group in August 1971 to join Peter Banks and Flash, Yes hired Rick Wakeman, a member of the Strawbs. Together with Howe's intricate guitar, Squire and Bruford's supple rhythm section, Anderson's keening vocals, and Wakeman's majestic, nearly Baroque stylings, Yes produced a distinctive sound. Album designer Roger Dean also gave the band a distinctive mythical appearance. This combo was first heard on the album Fragile, which also included the epic Long Distance Runaround and Roundabout, which peaked at number 13 on the Billboard chart, as well as showcases for each of the musicians. The single they quickly issued as a version of Simon & Garfunkel's America landed at number 46. Nevertheless, their main focus was on albums with a common theme, such as 1972's Close to the Edge, which featured 2 protracted suites. The album debuted at numbers 3 and 4 respectively in the US and the UK. After Close to the Edge, Bruford departed Yes and was replaced by Alan White, a former member of John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band. Yes Songs, a double live album released in 1973 that also included recordings with Bruford and reached a peak of 7 in the UK and 12 in the US, featured White's debut recording. In late 1973, shortly after the release of Yes Songs, the band Yes issued Tales from Topographic Oceans, their masterpiece. Tales from Topographic Oceans, a double LP with only 4 songs, did well commercially at the time, but was criticized for being the prog rock genre's pinnacle of excess. Wakeman, who made the decision to leave the group following the album's support tour, was one of its critics. Relayer, released in November 1974 and including the band's new keyboardist Patrick Moraz, did well on the charts. However, the band soon disbanded to go on other endeavors. Yes items were everywhere in the middle of the 1970s. In March 1975, Atlantic released a collection titled Yesterdays, along with solo albums from Squire, Howe, White, Anderson, and Moraz. Additionally, the concert movie Yes Songs was released in theaters. At the conclusion of 1976, Yes reformed, replacing Moraz with Wakeman. Going for the one, A sleek and condensed album featuring the big songs Wonderful Stories and Going for the One was released in August 1977 by this revitalized band. After releasing Tormento a year later, which peaked in the top 10 in both the UK and the US, the group took a break while its members worked on their solo projects. The most successful of these collaborations was between Jon Anderson and keyboardist Vangelis, which gave rise to the British top 10 single I Hear You. In March 1980, Yes intended to begin recording a new album, but Wakeman and Anderson abruptly quit the sessions. The core members of the new wave band The Buggles, whose video Kill the Radio Star was the first video played on MTV, Trevor Horn and Jeffrey Downes, were hired by Howe, Squire, and White as their successors. Atlantic hurriedly released Yes Shows, a double live album made of recordings from the mid-1970s in January 1981. However, a few months later, Yes announced their breakup. The resulting drama performed admirably, peaking at number 2 in the UK and number 18 in the US. Together with John Wetton and Carl Palmer, Howe and Downes founded Asia, releasing their self-titled debut in 1982 to critical acclaim. In 1982, Tony Kaye, the keyboardist for the original Yes, and Trevor Rabin, the guitarist, were asked to join Squire and White in the new group Cinema. Cinema didn't start until Squire invited Anderson to join, but as soon as the vocalist was included, the group changed to Yes. The loud modernist Owner of a Lonely Heart by this new iteration of Yes, which Horn refused to produce, ended up being the group's biggest hit ever. Owner of a Lonely Heart, a smash on pop radio and MTV, peaked at the top of the Billboard Hot 100. Its companion album, 90125, also featured the mainstream rock hits Leave It and It Can Happen. Despite 90125's enormous success, Yes struggled to release a sequel on schedule. Horn's work was contained in Big Generator, but he left during the sessions. Although the album did well, peaking at number 15 in the US and number 17 in the UK, it failed to produce any big singles. Around the time Big Generator came out, legal disputes involving the name of the band engulfed the Yes team. Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe came back together around this time, and in 1989, they issued an album under this moniker. The lawsuit was eventually resolved in their favor, allowing for a historic Yes reunion in 1991. The quartet carried on touring with an evening of Yes music through 1990. This new iteration of Yes, which included Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, Squire, Kaye, White, and Rabin, released the Union in 1991, along with the retrospective box set Yes Years and an accompanying tour. The Yes lineup was flexible throughout the 1990s and 2000s, with individuals performing in various settings either independently or as part of the group. Anderson, White, Kaye, Squire, and Trevor Rabin all appeared on the album Talk from 1994. The lineup that made up Yes in the middle of the 1970s, Anderson, Howe, Squire, Wakeman, and White, reunited for a tour the following year. This tour led to the release of 2 new albums, Keys to Ascension, which combined live performances with studio recordings. The keyboardist position was filled by Billy Sherwood, a guitarist who joined the group in the early 1990s after Wakeman left during the recording of new music. The 1997 album Open Your Eyes, which was initially released under the name Conspiracy and featured Sherwood and Squire, mainly featured Sherwood. Igor Koroshev, a keyboardist, joined for the latter in 1999. Howe was touring often with Yes by the time Sherwood and Koroshev left in 2000. On their 2001 album, Magnification, the group made an orchestral recording. Wakeman returned to the band for a tour in 2002 and remained through their 35th anniversary tour in the middle of the 2000s. In a Word, a subsequent box set was released in 2002, and The Word is Live, a live box set, was released in 2005. The Fly From Here record by Howe, Squire, Downes, and White was produced by Trevor Horn and was released in 2011. Benoit David, a singer who rose to fame in a Yes tribute band, served as the song's lead vocalist. John Davison, who stayed with the group through the middle of the 2010s and made an appearance on the Roy Thomas Baker produced 2014 album Heaven and Earth, rapidly took David's place. Squire passed away from leukemia in June 2015, but the band kept playing as his request. The accompanying live album from 2017 was aptly titled Topographic Drama, Live Across America. They performed all of Drama and half of Tales from Topographic Oceans while on tour in 2016. In 2018, a 50th anniversary tour was started, and 50 Live was published in 2019 to mark the occasion. In October 2019, the outtakes from the Fly From Here recording sessions that weren't included on the final product were released as the mini-album From a Page. Tour preparations were put on hold for the next 2 years due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and the group worked on producing a new album, The Quest. Released in 2021, this was the group's 22nd studio albums, its first without any of its founding members. Longtime drummer Alan White died in Seattle, Washington on May 26, 2022 after a brief illness. He was 72 years old. And that's what happened to Yes. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know who should I do next on this channel. And check out my Patreon on screen. And I'll see you in the next video.